Welcome everyone, it's great to have you here. If you haven't guessed already, we're going to be doing app training today, going through what the app can do, how you configure some of the basic stuff, and how you can use it, how you can implement it for your organization, whether it be a hospice or a church or a charity, etc., and different things that you can do with that. I'm going to unmute you guys all, so get ready and let's do a big hi to everyone. Here it comes. If I work it out, there we go. Hi everyone.
Hi.
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 Julie, you're the only one that's currently still muted. I think you've muted on your side or something. I'm presuming
Hello.
everyone can hear me. Oh, there we go. Hi Julie. It's nice to have you all here. Well, I'll just leave you guys unmuted for now and see how chaotic the sound is, because last time we did this with so many people, it was quite distracting for everyone. So, right. Okay, yeah, we do have one more person I was hoping that was going to join. So, but what I'll do anyway is I will mute you all because we're going to be recording this and putting this up online so that you guys can reference it in the future as well. And we can send you out a link as well to that. So if you do have any questions, you will have seen a chat message pop up, and if you can just type in a message there, or if it's something very complicated, by all means feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. But ideally, if we can keep it to chat messages to try keep it under control, that'd be great. Is there anything specific you guys are hoping to see while I've still got you all unmuted? Everyone's shy. Okay, great. Well, we'll just tuck in. We'll go over all the basics and we can have some fun. Great. Let's go. So at the moment you are seeing a nice little virtual phone, and you're seeing this infoodle app over here. This can be downloaded from the Android Play Store, or it can be put onto an iPhone through the App Store as well. It's completely free for people to download. And from here, when people run it, you'll be greeted with our logo. Once it's done loading, the initial time it loads, it might take a little longer because it's getting all the information from the servers, etc. And my little virtual phone does take slightly longer as well because it is a virtual phone. So there we go. So this is what people are going to see when they use the app. It's going to ask them to search for their organization. So that will be whatever organization name we've set you up for with your app, if you've already been set up. Otherwise, if you haven't been set up, you can sign up after this with us and we can get it set up. For instance, our one is just simply infoodle. We've got a couple actually. So we've got an infoodle demo, we've got a whole bunch there. But if you were looking for a church of some variety, you'll see we've got a whole bunch of churches there as well. Okay. So we'll go with our infoodle demo site, which is what we're using today. If it will load, there we go. Great. So this is the sort of app interface you'll see. You can customize things like the logo up top, this banner over here, this color scheme, because that is quite awful at the moment, so we'll be fixing that up. These buttons down here relate to a number of different things that you can do. If you've got the events package, you'll be seeing this coming up events. At the moment on this demo app that I'm showing you, we've got everything enabled. So I will go over what you get in the free app and then also the add-ons as well. So you can use the events package if you've got it in the infoodle CRM, and that will then come through free for the app as well. You can do things like use your online directory, so you can give people access to this app and give them a special login and say that they can actually search for people. In this case, it's saying I haven't got a login, so I need to log in. If I can remember my credentials, I think it's Dave Training, spell. Something like that. No. So we'll go through even creating a login because I can't even remember my last training login, so that's fine. So yeah, the directory would let you then type in someone's name and see the applicable information, whether it's phone numbers, addresses, etc. And from there you can even get directions like Google Map directions or Apple Maps. This is all privacy based, so you can say if people can see anything or nothing. You can say they can only see people in their group specifically, like if they're part of a staff group, they can see the staff's information. It can be volunteers seeing people in their group, or can be like an entire church organization, can cover that entire thing as well. We've got a more button over here, and this is a whole bunch of extra things that have been added. Your app may not have all of this, don't worry. That's because you either haven't set up all these buttons or you don't have particular packages, etc. But essentially you can name a lot of these buttons and they can go to different things. So like we've got our newsletter link there. We can have our Facebook straight in there as well. Do all sorts of things, notifications, take us to the blog, take us to a form that you've got set up in infoodle, etc. So we've got quite a lot of things, and your contact information, the organization contact information. So, and that's where we are. So you've got a lot of ability around all of that sort of thing. The events is pretty darn cool. It will I know it might be hard to see on your screen at the moment. I apologize. That's because I decided to make an awful color so I could show you how to fix it. I may have made too awful of a color, to be honest. So we can see what's coming up this week, what's coming up next week, upcoming events in the future as well. We can even go into these and see, okay, where is the youth group? This is the time, that's the date, that's the location. In this particular case, the location is set as auditorium, so it's been very general, so we're not finding it there, but you can have an actual address as well, in which case it will search for that address and show you a pinpoint, just like we saw on the contact screen a moment ago. You can also do things like add media. I don't know if my one's uploaded yet. No, it's still uploading. So you can have, if you're running any series training material, anything like that, you want some videos up, you can do that as well. That's an added package. Organizations like churches could have their sermons coming up here. You can also do podcasts as well. So if you wanted to just do the audio recordings, you can have that as well on the app as well. Notifications, some of you will have seen. This is push notifications, which you can send straight from infoodle to keep in contact with people that have the app downloaded, which is also pretty neat. A nice, much cheaper way than sending text messages, and you get a lot more engagement from the people that are have downloaded the app. They will more often than not actually see it and do something about it. Right. So let's have a look at how on earth do we make this look better and not look like a very badly put together infoodle theme, which it currently is. You guys, again, that have already had an app set up, you would have had logins to the dashboard, the infoodle app dashboard. This is what we're looking at the moment. If you haven't added any packages, these are the sort of buttons or panels that you will have. Now, some of them don't make much sense being here. We're talking with the app team to eventually get rid of them, like the fact that you currently have a feature to log in, which seems a bit weird that it's sitting there. You can't do anything with it, and we acknowledge that that's a little funny, but we're working to improve a few things like that as well. But as far as anything that you can configure, there will be this configure button. And if you do forget anything I say and want to know what these buttons do, it's in our help docs, or you can simply now hover over and it will tell you exactly what each of these do. The added packages that you can get as well are down below here. If you're using the infoodle events and ROS string specifically, that's a great one to add, and that one's free as well. Cool. Right, so let's go over a few of these things. App banner, let's have a look at that and what that does. If you haven't already worked it out, the app banner is essentially what's up top here. I'm actually going to switch to, I'm not looking at this app at the moment, so I'm just going to quickly switch to that site. One moment. There we go. Now this is going to look vastly different because it's got all the things added, all the different features and packages. Don't be intimidated by it. We'll just be going over the ones that are applicable. There we go. So there's the app banner, and you'll notice it's got our little coffee cup there. If you're wanting to update that, it's as simple as let's upload a new image. Clicking over there, you'll get this little file window, and you can go through and find the images that you want. So let's have a look. Let's go with this one. So we can submit that. Now, if you're wanting to see your changes, some of them will be relatively instant and some might take a moment. You will need to, in most cases, close the app down completely and reload the app. So we might be doing that a couple of times in this series at the moment. Are you on the desktop infoodle now? Do we use these from the desktop rather than the app? That's asked by Helen. So what we're looking at the moment is on the desktop. That's the app login. So it's not the usual, this is the usual infoodle CRM. That's I'll be showing you some configuration and such around that. But configuring the app has its own dedicated dashboard so that you don't get confused between the two. So this is where you'd be configuring the app specific. And you would have, as I said, once you get the app set up, we will send you the link to this page with your special admin logins for that as well. So now we see that that banner has actually updated. Great, that's what we wanted. I actually don't like that one, so I'm just going to change it back. You can also use an image that's already on the internet if you really wanted to. And we'll just change that back there. The higher quality you have it as well, the better it's going to look on your app, especially with people with big devices like the Samsung Galaxy S10 or any of the large iPhones, etc. So just keep that in mind, because adding a small image is going to make it look a little bit grainier. So wherever possible, use a higher resolution image. Okay. Next thing we've got is the app web embed. So we've got this one here, app web embed and app web embed 2. Now what those are, we'll just have a look. You can give them their own labels. In this case, I've called it Facebook alternative, but essentially this can be any label you want, and it's just a link to a website, free stuff. Okay, so I'll submit that. And this link is, as I say, just a website. So in this case, it's a page on infoodle.com. So we'll submit that. I'll restart that while I'm at it, and then I'll just keep chatting while that loads. And so you get 2 web embeds. Now, an embed means that when someone clicks the button, it's going to load inside the app. It's going to look like it's part of the app. So we've actually got these web embeds, and then we've also got external links. So web embeds load inside the app, and external links will take you outside of the app and use your phone's internet browser, whether it's Chrome or the built-in one, etc., Safari if you're on Apple. So as an example, you'll notice now we've got this free stuff. That's what we updated. And when I click there, you'll notice that it does this nice little slide. It's asking if we want to allow location because that particular website uses it. So I'll say yes. And you'll notice now this page from our website is loading up straight in the app, and it's all part of the app. And I'll show you what that page looks like in real life as well. Just grab that URL. There you go. So it's this page that it's grabbing, and it's just embedding it straight into the app right there. Okay. So pretty handy. So now if this was done as a external link that I mentioned earlier, so we've got one called Make Everything OK, and it's taking us to makeeverythingok.com. So if we look at that, we will see a button over here, and you'll notice it's got that little arrow, Make Everything OK. So when we click on this, you'll notice that it, firstly, because this is a brand new digital phone, it's asking me what I want to open it with. So you won't actually get that. There we go. So now it's taken me outside of the, sorry, as far as this virtual phone is concerned, this is a brand new phone that I've just bought in a store. So it's making me do all that fun setup stuff. I'm just going to go back out of that. Okay. So let me try that again. When we click Make Everything OK, it takes us into Google Chrome, and it lands us on that website, which we can then interact with as per usual because it's just a web page. Okay. So those are the two different types of ways you can get to different links on the internet. It's really good for things like blogs. We do actually give you a dedicated one called blog. In reality, it behaves exactly the same as these ones, App Web Embeds. It's just App Web Embed 3, but we suggest that you use it as a blog. And if we look at it, it's currently pointing to our blog, which is probably going to look awful because we've just changed the information on it. We'll see. Yeah, so there's our blog looking absolutely terrible because we were messing with it today, so that doesn't really help. But that's essentially taken us to infoodle.com/blog is what we set it up for. There you go. So that's how you can do a whole bunch of different links. The other cool thing about that is you can do it with forms. We actually give you a free form embed, but if you need a couple extra, you can use these app web embeds as well. So a form embed, again, you can name it. So we've called it donations, and you'll notice this link is just one of those links to a form. So if I go to our CRM again and look under forms, and we've got this donation form over here. And under Publish tab, if you haven't done this before, under the Publish tab, there's a link over there. This is to embed on your website directly, but you can use this link to post to Facebook or send via email, etc. But you can also use it for the app itself. So we copy that link, we head over back to the form embed, paste that link in there, give it a name, submit it, and now we will have a donations embed over there. And when we click that, it'll take you straight to that form, which people can then fill out. In this case, it's a reoccurring payment form, which is great, and they can do that whole thing and submit it straight from there. So you can easily take your donations straight from the infoodle app, which is pretty handy. We're currently working on improving this even more, so that it will actually detect who's using the app and autofill some of this information in. So nice little clever things like that. That's coming very soon. Not quite there yet. We're making sure that there's good privacy control over that, so no one's information gets leaked to the internet or anything scary like that. So coming soon, auto-filling this sort of information out as well. Right. I'm guessing there's no questions so far, so I must be doing an alright job. As far as getting your events hooked up, as I said, this is only applicable to people that have the events package, and the events package comes with events and rostering. So you'll notice that there are a whole bunch of events in our calendar. Got staff meetings, music practice, youth group, Monday morning meetings, etc. The syncing process for this you can do yourself, and we've got a help file that you can try and attempt it to do yourself. But to be honest, if you want to hook this up to your app, just send us an email and say we'd like to get it hooked up, because we can actually do it ourselves. We can do it on the back end and it's quicker. But feel free to do it yourselves if you want. The things that you need to look for is with all of these events, we just go into one, you'll notice that there's a visible on internet. Now this also applies to the app. So this setting here, it means that if someone has a link to it, will they see this event? In order for it to show up in this list of events, that needs to be set as yes. Other things to note about that is things like the dates, all of those dates and times, including reoccurring events. That's all great. That will come through to infoodle. Locations, you can select the location that the event's at. What you really want to watch though is to make sure that your locations itself, so if we look at this cafe for instance, that you have a proper address there. Now sometimes you'll get away with, if it's a business name, you'll get away with that, but make sure to have some sort of address there that will work in Google Maps essentially. So if I go to Google Maps, and I type in Henry and Ted, I think it's actually Henry and Ted's, but we'll see. Right, so that's the one we're after. You'll notice while I was typing, it autofilled came up here. So if I click that address there that's now autofilled is a Google Maps formatted address. So essentially, no matter where I am in the world, if I type that into Google Maps, it will always find this location. So that's what we're after in our public address over here. If I just had Henry and Ted, and someone using the app was actually in America's a great example, and they then tried to use the lookup, the app would detect that they're in America and would look for something called Henry and Ted closest to them, and that could result in all sorts of funny things. The other fun one we've had is some locations might have might not have an address there at all. So for instance, lounge is a good example. So in this case, we've got a location called lounge with no address in there at all. So if that was put onto one of our events, when we went into the event, infoodle will try and search Google Maps for somewhere called lounge, which is going to yield all sorts of funny results. We've had someone's business jumping around and landing in a cemetery in Germany, which was quite a interesting moment for them when they're supposed to be in Sydney, Australia. So make sure that if you are using events to have the actual address there as well, so that it directs you to the right place. Cool. If you are then, if you've got all of those events set up and they're all set to public, you've got the location sorted, And you can then let us know, us at infoodle, that we can sync it all across, and we can set it up, and it's pretty quick for us to do, and hopefully within a couple hours we'll have it all syncing across to your app. Something that you also need to note is if you change one of these events or add a new event, it can take up to 24 hours to sync across to the app itself. This is a restriction unfortunately imposed by Google themselves, because it all syncs through Google Calendars. We're looking at ways that we can bypass that and do it direct, but Google used to say it'll take a few minutes, and then they moved it up to 6 hours, then 12 hours, and now it's up to 24 hours. Sometimes we do see it only take a couple of minutes, but we have actually seen it take 20 to 24 hours sometimes as well. So just be aware, when you're making a change and it's not appearing on the app, it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because it does take a moment to actually update. And that includes updating to something like the address, etc. Cool. Right, let's get back to customizing so we can actually see things. So there is a logo and colors that you'll be able to see. Clicking config on here will allow you to select what your logo is. So let's start with that. Instead of this boring infoodle logo, let's add our infoodle logo. I think that's a lot more appropriate for a professional app. All right. Now all of these codes over here are to do with all of the different colors that are being used. What is the text color? What's the background color, etc. Now that is intimidating, those numbers, but if you just click, there's also a click and drag and select your color scenario as well. So you can play with that, refresh the app, and have a look at what's happening and what it looks like. If you've got someone that does graphics design, they could give you the exact codes that would look best, hand it off to them, let them do it, or just have a play. So I've got some colors that work well for our infoodle app, so I'll be using those. So I'm just copying and pasting some hex values, as they're called. You'll notice that as I paste, these colors are changing here. There we go. I think that one's the same, yep. Paste that, and we'll submit that. All right, I'll just restart the app and we'll see how that looks now. I really should have used a virtual iPhone or a virtual Galaxy S10 or something rather than this little phone. Maybe it would have been a little faster. I cheaped out on the free digital phone. The suspense. Okay, here we go. So that's looking a little bit warmer, a little bit more coffee-like. That's working quite well. Great. Text is nice and visible. Let's have a look at what that all looks like. Maybe let's check out contact. Yep, colors are looking good. It's all very visible. Let's check our settings page. Yeah, no, that's looking pretty good. So that's looking a lot better, those colors. And the logo that we're referring to here, that's the logo that when you search for the organization, that's when that logo comes up. That particular logo does take a while to sync as well. So refreshing, closing the app down completely and refreshing might not bring it up straight away. Don't panic, it will come up as long as you see it over there. Okay. Now we're on the settings page. How I got here is by clicking more and settings. The reason I'm showing you this is because it allows you to do some testing of the app as well. This reset organization preference is kind of handy if you want to see what some other people have been doing with their app, and be aware that this is public facing, so think about that while you're creating the app. So if we looked at who could we use? We'll use Golden Sands. Okay. We'll see that logo coming up there. So we can go and click on someone else and see what theirs looks like from there. So I'll let you guys have a play with that. A good one is typing in something like generic, like hospice. You might get some results, maybe. No, you don't. Or church is a good one, or community center, and that sort of thing. But we'll just look at infoodle demo for now. Except I think I went into the wrong one. Yep, I did. That's very good, Dave. Just go back out of that. There we go. There we go. Cool. The other things that you can do is handle rostering, which is pretty darn handy. Before I can show you that, I'll need to create a login. So with any sort of private information like checking someone's roster or using the directory to search for names, etc., it does require that people have a login. So you will have to get your staff or organization or congregation to actually sign up. So they'll be typing in their name here, something like Dave is training Dave at infoodle.com. Password, which you guys will be seeing, is my app. I don't mind if you steal that, it's fine, it's just for testing. You already have an active login. So now what this is detecting is that there is someone that's already got that email address. So infoodle will pick that up, which is very annoying for my test. That's very exciting. I think someone either joined or left. So we will apparently backspace closes the app. It's not helpful. This one's probably also taken. Might have to do a password reset, so I'll get to show you that. There we go. Great. Now it says registration complete. Most people won't read this whole thing, but essentially this will be reviewed by an authorized person. The access is pending. So an authorized person is probably going to be you guys, because you will get this registration on your dashboard, and you have to say, yep, this person's allowed access to this part of infoodle. Very, very important manual step that we're doing, because we don't want a random person to suddenly have access to all your private information. So where this registration will come up, if you've got the rights to approve it, which all of you guys should, is now on your dashboard. You'll have this alert coming up right at the top saying that there's registrations to review. Click in review will take you to everyone that's registered for the app. It doesn't help that I'm using a test site, so my one hasn't actually come up here, or I haven't actually got the rights to review it anymore. But essentially they'll come up on this list. If it's someone new in the database that infoodle can't find a, oh, there I am, I'm just blind, that can't find a match at all, you can create the contact straight from here by clicking this little check and click and approve. That will add someone into your database called Dave Jurgensen with that email address. straight away. If infoodle does detect the person in infoodle, it will have an assign instead. So let's go ahead and create this login. Infoodle will then say, all these people that you've checked, what rights do you want to give them? We recommend creating a role called App User Basic, so they have their own specific role, and that's what you'll determine what sort of things they have access to. Well, I'll show you basically what those sort of rights are, but that's all on our help docs as well. If you go to our help docs and just search infoodle app, you'll have a big rundown of what we recommend for this sort of stuff. Do we want to email and notify them? You can through here. You can use templates that you've already got if you want them. So you can personalize that as well, or just approve it straight from there. So we'll click approve. Right, so now there's a person in the database called Dave Jurgensen, and they've got access to the app. You can then let them know that they can log in, and that's why that email template's a good idea. Actually, it'll be the username will be by default the email address. We'll log in there. And now it's refreshed and it's actually logged us in. So it's got my name there, etc. So now it will look at what rights do I have and what can I do. When they first try and access something that's restricted, this message will pop up, and that's basically confirming, are you happy to access this information, which we are. And now we can start searching contacts. So I don't know who's in our database. We'll try that. Rich, no, try Dave. There we go, there's someone. It's myself, but so we can see what sort of information is available. At the moment, it's just the email address that's visible and the name. Are they archived, and what's their personnel setting? Are they a guardian? So this is all to do with what roles they have and what's set on the profile. So let's have a look at these roles. So at the moment we've got that they're allowed to search for people. They're allowed to edit any person and household contact details that are part of their household. They can add people. So this is looking kind of like an admin sort of role. We don't want them to be able to add new people. That's not right. They can see their own notes. That's fine. See general people's notes? No. So you have to go through and think about what sort of access do you want these people to be. If they're staff members, then this sort of information may be useful. If they're this sort of access may be useful. If they are not staff members, then you don't want to do that. If they are already registered in infoodle, you can actually just use your infoodle login details there straight away. So whatever you use to log into the infoodle CRM, you can log in using that instead. So this is more for the new people you're giving access to via the app. Let's see. We want to give them access to the online directory and limit view to just directory settings. So that's the main thing. We don't want to really give them access to reports and things like that, because this is just a random punter. So we'd get rid of that sort of stuff. I'm not going to mess around too much in this at the moment, but essentially we don't want them doing that. We don't want them contacting people. They can search events, yes, but they can't add events. They can use rosters, and they can't do any of that. We don't want them doing anything with forms, and most of this is to do with the CRM itself. But as I said, when you give them access to the app, they can technically access infoodle as well. So you just need to think about exactly what you're going to give them. So this is going to be the barest minimum sort of settings. So let's save that. Now if I go back to the directory, We search for someone else. So this is a different account, Dave Training. We can actually see the email address. We can see the physical address as well. So that sort of information is now coming up. I'll just pull up the Dave Training account. And I'll show you how we can restrict information and show information. So this over here is what affects online directory, and this is an online directory. So if we set a person to private, they're not going to come up in here at all. If we set a particular email address to private, that email address isn't going to come up. So we could have dave@work.com over there, set that one to visible, and the dave@infoodle is private. We'll save that. Let's just go back through here and find our friend Dave again. And you'll notice that now the only email address we're seeing is that dave@work email address. So before you give people access to the online directory, etc., there may be a bit of cleanup that you have to do as well. This is great for staff that are doing on-site visits, or pastors that go and do pastoral work, or caregivers, that sort of thing. Very useful for accessing that sort of thing. They can get directions straight from the app as well. It will take them to Google Maps and work out all of that sort of information as well. So it does make the process quite nice. Welcome to Google Maps. Sorry, it's the first time I've run Google Maps on this phone as well. It's probably going to try and work out where I am. There we go. So it's worked out my location and where we're going to go from there. This is a fake location because it is just a virtual phone, but essentially it will work out from where to where. Okay. If there is a phone number over here, so 075793085, which is our infoodle number. Let's make that visible and save that. Now we can make that visible as well. You'll notice there's the phone number there. If we tap on that, it'll take you to your call window as well, so you can call directly from that as well, which is pretty darn handy. Cool. So that's the online directory, and then I mentioned about rosters as well. So at the moment, this new user isn't rostered into anything. So when I go to rosters, it's just going to say, nope, there's nothing there. I can't find anything. So let's roster this person on. So we'll head over to our rosters. Again, if you haven't got the events package, not particularly applicable to you, but it might be interesting and you might have a use for us. We won't go into too much details, but we'll show you how it can work. So we've got these two different events over here. So let's edit this event. Okay, it's a holiday program. What we're going to do is, next one's on the 12th. Let's add a person. I'm just going to search for our friend Dave. We've added him in as a leader on that particular day. We'll add the coffee runner as well, so that he's not feeling so lonely. Barney sounds amazing. Minutes can be done by Joe, etc. Okay. Now if we come back to our roster, if I haven't forgotten anything, you'll notice that we now see on the 12th of June there's a staff meeting, you are the leader, and it also has a confirm or decline. So you can, if I'm actually not available for the 12th of June, I could decline that, and I can send a message saying doctor's appointment. Yep. don't know how to remove that. Your availability, not okay for this. That's exactly what we want. Let's hit save. There we go. Message sent. Okay. Now we can always update that as well. We can change our mind, but for the organizer on the other end, it's pretty helpful. So I'm just refreshing this page now. You'll notice that the organizer is getting this little warning message, and it's also got a little speech bubble there which says I've got a doctor's appointment and it's been rejected, for instance. We can send a message back if we want, and we can have a little back and forth as well. So it's a good way to see the breakdown. I can click view over here and see who else is rostered on for me as well, and things like that, which is pretty darn handy. Cool. Any questions so far? You guys are very quiet, and not just because you've been muted. Okay, I'll go on to the next thing, but if you do have a question, please feel free to just type it in or unmute yourself and ask. More than happy to answer some questions. Right, so you can also embed your a link to your Facebook or any other social network that you want. So as an example, when we click social over here, it's going to take us directly to the infoodle Facebook page, and it's all within the app itself. Okay. So yeah, you can embed that straight in there and have people access that straight away. And that could be something like Twitter if you preferred that as a main means, or an Instagram, etc. How that is all done is, again, you will see a social media over here. You can give it a specific name, and then you can add a link and submit that, and then it's accessible via that more menu. Nice and easy. Right. We also have a few other features like that you might want to update, like the contact us. So let's configure that. What do you want the button to be called, and do you want any specific information? So that get in touch with us here. That's what we were seeing over here, get in touch with us. So you can have your own message. To update this content over here, that's under your main settings. So people might miss that. It's under manage up top here. And you'll have a few different settings over here. The one we care about is, I think I might be lying to you. Just double check that. Oh, that's just taking me on dashboard. Sorry, it's under this little down arrow here. You'll have my organization. You'll have contact information, and that's where all of that information is stored. Okay. The email address, etc. Yep, there we go. Great. To when you do land on here, if you've got media as well, the media upgrade package, you can access that from the media over here, which I've added one, so I'm just hoping that that has finished processing for us so that we can media available. Great, excellent. So as I mentioned earlier, you can have podcasts or video series put up on the app as well. So when I click on media, no, apparently it hasn't made it to the app yet, which is unfortunate, but let's just double check that. Media is available. Yeah, okay, so it's still processing. It does take a moment when you upload media, whether more so for video. It takes a moment for the service to process it so that it can stream nicely through the app. Just like when you upload something to YouTube, it does take a while to process. How media is uploaded is, as I said, if you've got the package, just click in media over there. You can upload it as a standalone episode if it's just a one-off thing. You can create a series, a video series or an audio series, or if you've already got an existing series, you can just add future episodes or podcasts to that series. So we'll just look at adding a new series quickly. What's the series title? So if it's like a training seminar, training the 101s on web design, I don't know, or writing a CV. There you go. You can create a little poster for the series. And just select an image from there. We'll add our little minion over here for this. What's the series synopsis? So that'll be a training series to take you from etc. etc. from learning the basics of a CV to a professional CV. Any copyright information, when do you want to publish it? So we'll say instantly. Do you want to share the series on infoodle and contribute to the National Library? So that's some like churches, for instance, want to share their sermons publicly so that other people around the world can access it. So that's what that's about. The content of my video is primarily sports or religion, or is designed to inform, educate, or instruct. This is for, there's some different legal requirements around the world, so do answer this if it's applicable to you. And I confirm there's no third-party content such as music contained in my media. So that's essentially saying I own the rights to everything that's in this, and there's not going to be any copyright issues around that. Okay, and then you can submit. Once the copyright, infoodle. Okay. And then you get to actually add the episodes, and you can add video and or audio. So you might have a video series that you also just want as a podcast, so you can do both if you want. So it's just about selecting your video. So we'll add that one. And if you've got audio, as I say, just click and add it. The upload's done, so now it'll start processing. What series are we adding it to? We're going to add it to that series. Does it have a specific title? So the CV basics, a synopsis for this particular episode. I am just flying through this, so if this is of interest to you guys and you want to look into it more, you got questions, do get in touch. Otherwise, just have a bit of a play. But I am flying through it for those of you that it may not be applicable to. So video thumbnail, the 16:9 basically means it needs to look like a typical movie poster sort of thing. Video frame, so it's that sort of size there. It doesn't have to be exactly 16:9, but that's basically what a TV episode looks like. Is there PDF material associated with this? So you might have like training notes or something like that. You can add that as well. And if there's a little poster that you want to use, you can do that as well. So again, just click and add it. We're not going to bother because we're just going to use that image there by default. What episode is it? Episode 1. Any content tags, so that's for searching and stuff. So this might just be CV, might be training, etc. Who's the author? Who's the speaker? What date is it being published? So let's say we'll say just the Monday the 3rd. And again, copyright. So very important. Do you want to send a push notification once it's available? So if you're adding this material, you can automatically, once it's available, notify people that it's up. And you can have a little message saying, check out our new episode, or the first training video is up. And add to my podcast as well. And then submit, and that will start processing, and then it will be available. Just like that. And with a little luck, by the end of our training we'll actually be able to see it up here, but at the moment it's still processing, which is a little annoying. Great. Let's just see what else we can cover. We're going through it very fast. So we've covered events, contact us, external links, infoodle directory, logos and colors, social media. So we've covered all the basics, definitely, all the stuff that comes with the basic app. And then there's some other add-ons, like we've just looked at the video and the podcast. You can also embed PDFs if you want. So I think we've got one done. Yeah, we've got one called newsletter. So I'll look for that button right at the top there. So when you click on this, this is going to load a PDF directly into infoodle. Good for if you do have newsletters, or if you've got like an information brochure or something like that. So there you go, there's a PDF directly loading inside of the app. Be aware, obviously, that if your text is really small, that's going to be a bit hard to view. You can use this like just any other PDF thing if my app would react. Come on, phone. So you can do zoom in and zoom in out. I think I've upset my very cheap digital phone though. But you definitely can do some zooming in and zooming out as well. You can add multiple PDFs as well, etc. Cool. The other package that you can do is if you do live streaming on YouTube, you can actually stream it within the app as well. So that's something you can add. I don't actually know anyone that's doing it, but it is available. So if you do want more information on that, contact us. But essentially that's the guts of what you can do with the app at the moment. We do have a ton of additional things coming soon, like we want to, as I said, have forms automatically fill. We want to bring more functionality around what the CRM can do and bring that into the app. We've got a whole bunch of things in the pipeline at the moment, but as it stands, this is what's available at the moment.